Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Dominick from the Comic Book Report YouTube channel, over here doing a guest review for organicpricedbooks.com. And I'm happy to say today I'll be doing an overview for another Marvel Omnibus, particularly a Daredevil event. Yes, we're going to be looking at the Devil's Reign Omnibus from Marvel Comics, and wow, this one was a doozy. Before we jump in though, I just want to share a couple facts about this book. This volume had a ton of different creators attached to it, both writers and illustrators, among not only the main event miniseries, but all of the various tie-ins. But some of the notable writers include Chip Zdarsky and Jerry Duggan, notable illustrators including artists like Marco Caccetto and Raphael de la Torre. The comics in this volume were published by Marvel Comics beginning in 2022. As far as what this collection collects, it does collect Devil's Reign issues 1 through 6, Spider-Woman issues 18 and 19, Daredevil Woman Without Fear issues 1 through 3, Devil's Reign Superior 4 issues 1 through 3, Devil's Reign Villains for Hire issues 1 through 3, Devil's Reign Winter Soldier, Devil's Reign X-Men issues 1 through 3, Devil's Reign Spider-Man, Moon Knight issue 8, Devil's Reign Moon Knight, and Devil's Reign Omega. This is an oversized hardcover edition with nice glossy print paper stock, a sewn binding, and a total of 680 pages. Looking at the book itself and taking a look at the front cover of the dust jacket, I will say my edition here is the direct market or DM cover for this book. I will throw up a thumbnail of the standard edition cover as well, so you can compare and find the best edition for yourself. I personally think both of these covers are particularly striking. The standard edition is the cover for one of the main issues in the event, and the DM cover that I have is the cover for the Devil's Reign Omega issue. Some really good cover design on this book. And here's a good look at the spine. You should note that the direct market has a different little picture at the bottom of the spine. I believe the standard cover, the spine will have the same as on the actual hardback, which you'll see in a moment. But the spine design is just pretty straightforward. I don't love the font they chose for the main event title here. But other than that, I think it's fairly well made. Looking at that back cover now, I will say I do enjoy all the little art samples we get that show off just snippets of the art we can expect in this collection. We also have blurbs about the book, a brief description, what it collects, pricing information, things like that. It's all against a shocking field of red. I will say overall the back cover is not my favorite, but like I said, I do like the little bits of art we get. And now I'm going to do a more extensive look at that dust jacket, and then I'll show as well the Under the Dust Jacket hardback itself and the art we have printed on that. So this time I'll also be showing those interior flaps of the dust jacket and spreading it all out for you so you can see everything at a glance. Again, I will note that this is the direct market cover dust jacket and not the standard edition. I believe the only changes again are the front cover and then the image on the bottom of the spine. I do think that again the front covers I really like for both this direct market and the standard edition. The rest of the dust jacket personally is not my favorite. I didn't think it was too remarkable. Under the dust jacket, the actual art we have printed is a nice kind of wraparound image of a conflict that happens in this book, with the exception of the spine, which they still tried to reproduce from the main book. I will say on the hardback art print, I believe that's the image on the standard edition spine, just for your reference. It is interesting though, because when you spread this hardback, you don't have a full wraparound because you have that spine reproduced, but still some nice image here. I don't really have too many complaints on the hardback book itself. And with that taken care of, I do want to spend a moment just to examine that sewn binding I mentioned earlier, especially for all of you prospective collectors out there. I am happy to report that my edition laid flat very, very well. In fact, it was one of the best bound books I've read recently from Marvel Comics. I'm not too snobby when it comes to binding, but I was happy to see how well this opened up for me. Minimal gutter loss, but you can take a look as I flip through and determine for yourself. Okay, and now it's time to jump into the collection proper. We have some nice red end sheets before a really terrific title page, publication information, and then that nice kind of creator mapping of table of contents we sort of get. Basically outlines what is included in this book and who created it. We don't have a numbered table of contents, which is not too uncommon with these modern omnibuses, particularly from Marvel, but it's nice to still see what is included here in that kind of creator page. And then we jump right into Devil's Reign issue 1. As I flip through and kind of give you a sampling of the art, I do want to just provide a little bit more detail on the mapping of this omnibus for those wondering. We do have the 6-issue Devil's Reign event at the beginning of this omnibus, and then we spin out into all of the different various tie-in issues or issue miniseries, kind of tying into Devil's Reign, and then the whole book culminates with the Devil's Reign Omega issue, which serves as basically an epilogue and kind of sets up the new status quo within the Marvel Universe. After that, we have the extras, which I'll show a bit of a sample of at the end of this video, but the extras for this book are primarily a very large and extensive variant cover art gallery and some behind-the-scenes kind of black and white outlines and kind of images. Really well put together book here, I think, overall. I will say with event omnibuses like this, sometimes mapping can be a little bit tricky, and this is a good example of what I mean. I think overall this is mapped the best it could possibly be. When I say that, I mean we have the main event up front and then everything that ties in during the event after the fact. Why that can be tricky is because some of the event tie-ins happen in the middle of some of the Devil's Reign's issues, but it would be really hard to kind of splice in the different issues within the kind of moments they happen issue to issue. So I do think it makes sense to have the event first, then all the tie-ins. We have something very similar to this in like the House of M omnibus, for example, and I think it reads just fine. Now, this is an overview, so I'm going to be really light to no spoilers where I can here, but I do need to set up the general premise for this event for those interested. In the world of Marvel Comics in recent years, particularly in the zone of the Daredevil comics, we have actually had the notorious kingpin of crime, Wilson Fisk, serving as mayor of New York City. This has gone on for some time now, but I think if you're a comic fan like me, you've just been waiting to see kind of the ball drop here and just it to blow up catastrophically, and this is the event. This is where we have the kingpin kind of striking out and really coming into conflict with a lot of the main Marvel heroes. Essentially, he finds out that he used to know the identity of Daredevil, but from now he cannot remember who it is. He has a blank spot in his memory, and he believes Daredevil tampered with his mind. He confronts Daredevil and asks him about this and who he is, and Daredevil kind of cheekily responds, "Hey, this is my secret identity, it's why it's secret," and he kind of swings away. Kingpin is absolutely furious, and he feels violated in his mind, and he decides to outlaw all superheroes. This, of course, brings a bit of a war between Kingpin and his forces, in this case being a new branch of the Thunderbolts, which are controlled by the city, and is populated by a lot of different villainous characters. We have them trying to enforce this new law that outlaws all the superheroes, which leads to the arrest of a couple mainstream Marvel heroes. There is a lot of really cool callbacks to things like the Marvel Civil War, which had a similar though different premise. Basically, in Marvel Civil War, we had superheroes having to register with the government and releasing their secret identities, otherwise they'd be deemed illegal. In this case, it's just all superheroes are illegal. Anyway, a very fun setup, and it really just puts Kingpin on a collision course with all of these main Marvel heroes. A lot of the tie-ins to this event follow the different heroes that are prevalent in this series and how they adapt to what Kingpin does within these issues, and they really just focus on different point of view characters when these kind of big events are occurring in those main 6 issues. Now, Chip Zdarsky does write the main couple issues in this book, but we have a lot of the different creators, presumably those that are writing the respective series at the time, tying into Devil's Reign. I think overall these tie-ins are relatively non-essential. You can enjoy this event just by itself, maybe with the Omega issue at the end, and still feel like you get the full experience, but when you have all these tie-ins, it honestly brings out this world a bit more, and it's fun to see how the decisions made by these heroes, by the Kingpin, ripple throughout the rest of New York and the rest of these heroes. I won't spoil too much more than that. Suffice it to say, I think this is one of the better modern Marvel event books out there, and it was a lot of fun. I think if you're a Daredevil fan like me, this book might be a must-read. If not the omnibus, certainly at least the main event. It was a ton of fun, and like I said, it sets up a new status quo for Daredevil and some of the Marvel heroes within New York City. Toward the back of the book now, I just wanted to showcase some of the extras we get that I mentioned at the top of this video. It is broadly a variant cover art gallery. That is mostly what the extras in this collection include, but we do have a couple kind of outlined images at the end, kind of behind the scenes sketches, things like that. But I really, really love that we get so many different variant covers in the back of this omnibus. It is a shorter omnibus, as I mentioned at the top, so adding all of these different full-size variant covers, it was just really fun to see, and I think it really helped complete this collection quite nicely. I think if you're a general fan of comic book art, this is really a treasure trove of incredible covers, and I personally enjoyed flipping through. After the rest of those extras, though, that really brings us to the end of this collection. It is a pretty speedy read, it's well paced. I do think some of the tie-ins were varied quality, but the event itself I think was pretty strong. If you're looking for a more extensive review of this omnibus, or if you would like to know more about the Daredevil run leading into this event, please check out my channel, The Comic Book Report. You can definitely find my reviews there. And if you're interested in picking up your own copy of this omnibus, of course, check out organicpricedbooks.com. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.